The spark of war. In the year 2187, Earth was no longer confined to a single blue planet spinning around an unremarkable star. Humanity had expanded, built colonies, forged alliances, and survived conflicts that had nearly shattered its unity. From the ashes of old wars, the United Terran Confederation, UTC, had risen, a coalition of Earth-born nations and spacefaring colonies bound by a common creed. Humanity first, forever. But in the vast galaxy, Earth was still a minor player. The Galactic Empire, a collection of ancient species ruled by the tyrannical High Chancellor Velrix, spanned thousands of systems. They considered themselves the pinnacle of evolution, and they saw humanity as a volatile anomaly. Resourceful, yes, but dangerous, emotional, and unpredictable. That mistake would cost them everything. General Elias Rain stood before the panoramic window of Outpost Meridian, a diplomatic space station orbiting the neutral moon of Talmaris. Behind him, diplomats and soldiers scurried like ants, unaware of the ticking time bomb that had just been set. He clenched his fists. His pulse roared like a war drum in his ears. "My daughter," he growled, his voice barely human. "Where is she?" Ambassador Juno, pale and trembling, handed him the encrypted transmission. "Taken, sir," she said. The Empire's delegation vanished 10 minutes after we confirmed her presence on the station. Surveillance drones were jammed. We believe they used phase scramble tech to extract her. No trace, no communication, just gone. Elias stared at the flickering holographic image of his infant daughter, Alina Rain, barely 6 months old, wrapped in her mother's old Terran Academy cloak. His wife had died during childbirth. Alina was all he had left, and now even she was taken. On the Empire's central world, Galax Prime, High Chancellor Velrix observed the stasis pod containing the baby. His reptilian eyes gleamed with curiosity. "A full-blooded human child," he murmured. "Genetic scans confirm anomalies. Neural patterns suggest latent psychic potential." His chief biosavant, a 6-limbed scholar named Draxel, nodded. "We suspect her father's exposure to the Cryon warfield left genetic imprints. The child is evolving, faster than expected." Velrix clasped his clawed hands behind his back. "Then we'll mold her, break the humans using their own flesh and blood. One child, and a primitive species will kneel. They had underestimated humanity before. They would do it again." Back on Earth, panic became rage. The news of Alina's abduction went viral in seconds. Protesters filled digital feeds. Soldiers volunteered en masse. For the first time in decades, the Confederation Council passed Protocol Omega, the formal initiation of total war. But it wasn't the politics that ignited the storm. It was General Rain's message, broadcast across every known frequency. He stood before the UTC emblem, his military armor dark with mourning stripes. His voice was iron. "You took my daughter." A pause. "You thought you could steal from us, from me, and hide behind your empires and your lies. You think humans fear war. You think we break." He leaned forward. "We are forged in fire. We are fire. And now, we will burn your empire to the ground." The Empire didn't respond. They didn't need to. They believed Rain's fury would be tempered by diplomacy, that humanity would bluff, posture, then back down as they always had. They didn't understand the man behind the uniform. Elias Rain had fought the Mars collapse, had led the Titan rebellion suppression, had destroyed the Krell swarm with a singularity bomb that left a scar across Jupiter's orbit. But this wasn't about duty. This was about blood. He didn't want peace. He wanted his daughter, and vengeance. On the edge of UTC space, massive military movements began. The 3rd Orbital Fleet, the Luna Drop Battalion, and Earth's elite Helix Commandos converged on the Veil border. Warships, sleek and silent, slipped from Earth's gravity wells. Dreadnoughts woke from cryodocks. Old war AIs, bound by layers of ethical code, were reactivated with a simple override. Find the girl. Destroy everything in the way. In a hidden orbital bunker, Elias stood before a hollow table with a dozen generals. The strategic map lit up with Empire colonies and suspected labs. "This is not a rescue mission," Rain said. "This is a reckoning. We take her back. In doing so, we carve a message into the stars. The room fell silent. One admiral raised a brow. General, what if this escalates? What if they retaliate with full force? Elias looked him dead in the eye. They already have. Meanwhile, far from Earth, in a cold chamber of polished obsidian and steel, baby Alina stirred in her pod. Electrodes flickered. Strange pulses lit up around her. Something ancient stirred within her DNA. She did not cry. She simply opened her eyes. And for the briefest moment, she reached out. Across the stars, Elias Rain felt a whisper in the back of his mind, a sensation like sunlight on skin. For the first time in days, he smiled. My daughter's alive, he whispered. Now, nothing in the galaxy would stop him. Not fleets, not empires, not gods. Only war. The steel awakens. War echoed through the void like a drumbeat from hell. From Earth's orbit to the outer colonies of the Kuiper Belt, the United Terran Confederation shifted into a wartime posture not seen in over a century. Civilian industries pivoted overnight. Mining outposts in the asteroid fields were repurposed to forge titanium hulls and warp core injectors. The AI Forge Lords, once dormant under peace accords, activated beneath Martian sands, humming ancient hymns of battle as they birthed weaponized constructs. The Terran war machine had awakened. General Elias Rain stood on the command deck of the TNS Vengeance, a newly christened dreadnought stretching 2 kilometers long. Its hull bore no paint, only carbon black armor infused with plasma-dampening alloys and hex-core plating. A ship made not to intimidate, but to annihilate. Around it, a fleet of over 200 vessels drifted in formation. Carriers, frigates, planetary assault barges, and autonomous drone hives. The first strike armada. His voice rang out over the command net. Prepare jump vectors. We strike within the hour. Their first target was Tarnus 5, a fringe world governed by the Empire's high command. Intelligence reports confirmed a genetic lab operating beneath the planet's crust. Not the lab holding Alina, but one of the facilities likely tied to the experimentation on human DNA. Elias didn't hesitate. Send a message, he ordered. In a flash of FTL ripple, the fleet appeared in Tarnus space. Empire defense satellites opened fire, but human counter-AI systems bypassed them in seconds, turning them inward. Within minutes, orbit belonged to Earth. Then the Helix commandos dropped. 10,000 men and women in exo-armor fell through the atmosphere like fire from the gods, slamming into enemy bunkers and biolabs. Gunfire and screaming erupted in all directions as tactical nukes shredded the facility's outer defenses. Elias watched from orbit as the mission streamed in real time. Do we have her? He asked. No, sir, came the reply from Commander Lenya Graves. But we found something worse. She uploaded the footage. Inside one of the chambers were tanks, dozens of them, each containing what looked like infants. Human infants. Clones. Mutated, hybridized, wired with cybernetic implants, and injected with alien neuroserums. A living graveyard of failed experiments. Elias turned away from the screen, ball rising in his throat. Burn it all, he said, and they did. Back on Galax Prime, High Chancellor Velrix was livid. These humans are not acting like the prey we once knew. His intelligence director, a spindly creature named Serene, bowed low. Their unity is unnatural. Their fury calculated. Let them come, Velrix hissed. Their hearts burn hot, but fire consumes itself. They do not know true power. He gestured to the glowing stasis pod holding baby Alina. The child's body pulsed with a faint aura now, untrained psionic resonance radiating from her in waves. She is evolving faster than our projections. Soon she will be ours to command. But in his arrogance, Velrix failed to see the danger, not in Alina's potential, but in her connection. In deep space, across light years, General Rain sat alone in his quarters aboard the Vengeance. His war uniform hung heavy on his shoulders, and his hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of anticipation. Then he felt it again, a flicker, a warmth, a gentle touch inside his mind, brief but unmistakable. Alina. He closed his eyes and focused. He remembered the way she had clutched his finger in the nursery, the soft hum of her heartbeat against his chest. She's alive, he murmured. She's reaching out. AI advisor Kara, built with empathy modules specifically to support Rain, spoke gently. Sir, our neurologist suspect she's being augmented psionically. If she's reaching across this distance, unaided, she's already beyond baseline human capacity. Rain stood up. Then we don't have much time. Before they corrupt her. 2 more assaults followed. The Zurak refinery raid, where Earth's forces sabotaged the Empire's main antimatter supply lines. And the Battle of Ulmarin's Reach, where human fleets ambushed an Empire convoy transporting psychic prisoners. Over 300 alien rebels were freed, members of species long subjugated by Velrix's regime. Many pledged allegiance to the UTC, drawn by humanity's fire. It wasn't just a war now. It was a revolution. Humanity wasn't fighting alone anymore. On the Empire's secret moon, Virex 12, where Alina was now kept under heavy guard, something strange occurred. A rebel scientist named Dr. Zefel, originally a xenophysiologist for the Empire, had begun to question his loyalties. He'd studied Alina's DNA, her neural patterns, her emotional development. What he saw in her eyes was not just power, but humanity. One night, while guards rotated and the monitoring AI dimmed for system maintenance, he approached her chamber. The baby, now a toddler, floated in mid-air, her body surrounded by a halo of light. Her eyes locked with his, and in a voice not spoken but transmitted through thought, she asked, "Are you here to help me?" Zefel fell to his knees, trembling. "Yes, little one," he whispered. "Yes, I am." Back aboard the Vengeance, Rain planned the next phase. "We need to draw them out," he said, gesturing to the stellar map. "The Empire believes we're lashing out emotionally. Let's make them think they're right." "You're proposing a trap?" asked Admiral Chen. "I'm proposing a declaration," Rain replied. "They want chaos. We give them purpose." He turned to the central display and input coordinates. Next target, the Dread Vault. Murmurs filled the room. The Dread Vault was a heavily fortified data fortress, a vault of the Empire's most classified information. Why, someone asked. Because that's where they keep their experimental records, and possibly the location of their core labs. He tapped the console. "We find her. We bring her home. And if the Empire stands in our way, we bury them in stars." Meanwhile, on Virex 12, Alina sat quietly in her chamber, Dr. Zefel watching her closely. Her powers were growing, lights dimmed when she blinked. Machinery warped with her emotions. And every night, she reached out again, not just to her father, but to others. She was building a bridge, one made of thought, of memory, of love. And soon, when the moment came, she would be ready. Fire in the void. The stars around Sector 9 Vega shimmered with unnatural light as the Dread Vault loomed like a black crown in space. Encased in neutron-forged armor and shielded by gravitational distortions, the vault was an ancient relic, one of the last remaining constructs of the first galactic architects. No ship had ever breached it. No warhead had ever cracked its walls. Until now. General Elias Rain stood at the war table on the TNS Vengeance, surrounded by his top officers and AI strategists. A 3D schematic of the Dread Vault rotated in the air, glowing red at its weakest points. Only 3 known entry vectors, each protected by minefields, anti-FTL traps, and a standing Empire fleet. Operation Iron Crescent launches in 20 minutes, Elias announced. This isn't just about getting data. Somewhere inside that vault is the name of the facility holding my daughter. We get that location, and we finish this war. Commander Lenya Graves spoke. The Empire's 13th Dominion Armada is stationed there. We'll be outgunned 3-1. Elias looked her dead in the eye. Then we'll make them bleed 3 times as hard. The assault began with silence, an eerie stillness as human stealth drones emerged from dark space, disabling communications beacons before the Empire even noticed. Then came the Shadow Arcs, vessels built for nothing but destruction. They cut through the outer perimeter, cloaked in adaptive field tech stolen from alien ruins long buried beneath Mars. When the Empire responded, they were already too late. Thousands of fighter drones and exo-armored soldiers poured into the conflict. The Helix Commandos breached the first hangar bay using gravitic cutters and rail surge torpedoes, paving the way for Elias and his elite squad to land inside. The battle for the Dread Vault had begun. Inside the labyrinthine halls of the vault, blood and metal clashed in flickering light. The Empire's elite Void Sentinels, 10-foot-tall warriors enhanced with quantum reflexes and flame cores, fought with terrifying precision. But the humans were driven by something deeper. Not just survival, but righteous fury. Elias Rain himself led the charge through the central core, flanked by Graves and the battle AI Kara, now uploaded into a humanoid shell. Together, they reached the inner vault doors, where a triple-sealed biometric lock stood between them and the archives. "Override it," Elias barked. Kara linked into the system, bypassing encryption. "Warning, this is an ancient pre-Empire construct. Accessing may trigger systemic failsafes." "Do it," Elias said. The vault hissed open, and inside were truths darker than anyone imagined. The chamber glowed with thousands of crystalline data spires, each holding records of the Empire's greatest secrets. Kara activated an uplink and began extracting files at hyperspeed. Then she found it. "Codename, Project Seraph," she said. "It's her. Alina. Transported to Virex 12. Facility classified as Omega Silence. Coordinates confirmed." Elias felt something hot and painful surge through his chest. Hope, rage, love all tangled together. Then the alarms blared. The failsafes had activated. Self-destruct countdown initiated, Kara warned. "They'd rather lose the data than let us take it." As fire erupted behind them, Elias and his team ran through the chaos. Explosions tore through the structure. AI systems collapsed. Empire ships tried to close in, but Earth's fleet opened a brutal counteroffensive, sacrificing entire squadrons to allow the Vengeance to retrieve the away team. As the Vengeance jumped into warp, the Dread Vault exploded behind them, forming a miniature supernova that scorched the fabric of space. They had the location. Now, it was time to bring her home. On Virex 12, Alina sat in her chamber, her eyes glowing faintly blue as her mind stretched across dimensions. Dr. Ziefel watched in awe as she floated mid-air, levitating a dozen objects with casual focus. "You've grown strong," he whispered. "I feel him," she said, her voice now clearly spoken. "He's coming." Ziefel nodded. "We don't have much time. They know I've been hiding transmissions. If they find out I've helped you, you won't die," Alina said. He smiled sadly. "My kind were never meant to defy the Empire. But perhaps I was always meant to be more." Outside, the sound of boots echoed. The guards had discovered the tampering. They were coming. Alina turned to Ziefel. "Then let me help you." In that moment, her powers surged. Lights shattered, machinery bent and twisted, and with a scream of psychic force, the doors to her chamber exploded outward. The guards were thrown back like ragdolls. The child had become a weapon. She walked forward, hand in Ziefel's. She was ready. Back in UTC space, Elias Rain stood before his fleet. The final assault plan was drawn. Operation Starfall. "All roads lead to Virex 12, he said. "This is where they took her. This is where we ended. The Empire has ruled by fear and cruelty for millennia. But no more. We're not just rescuing a child. We're shattering their illusion of control." He looked across the room at soldiers, pilots, commanders, veterans, and fresh recruits alike. "Whatever they throw at us, we push through. No surrender. No retreat." He raised a clenched fist. "We take back what's ours." The fleet ignited. Thousands of warships plotted coordinates. The engines of vengeance roared. Back on Virex 12, alarm screamed. Dr. Ziefel and Alina raced through hidden tunnels toward the outer hangars. The Empire had deployed containment squads, but they were no match for the child's abilities. She moved like lightning, tore through armored barriers with thought alone. But she was still only one. Then, above the atmosphere, they arrived. The Terran Armada emerged from warp like a tidal wave of fire and steel. Missiles screamed through space. Orbital cannons opened fire. Carrier bays released fighter waves. The Empire scrambled to respond, but it was already too late. Elias Rain's voice echoed across the battlefield. "This is General Rain. Priority 1 objective. Extraction of Alina. All units, punch a hole straight to the facility. I'm going in." He launched in a drop pod, slicing through fire and flak, burning through clouds of plasma. Alina felt it. She turned her head to the sky and smiled. "Daddy's here. Wrath and reunion." The skies above Virex, 12 burned crimson as Earth's warships clashed with the Empire's final fleet. It wasn't a battle. It was an exorcism. The Terran Armada unleashed the full wrath of a species pushed beyond the brink. And for the first time in centuries, the Galactic Empire bled in its own stronghold. Amid the chaos, one drop pod tore through the clouds like a divine spear. Inside was General Elias Rain. He emerged from the pod in full exo-armor, plasma rifle drawn, and a blade sheathed at his side. His HUD locked onto the underground coordinates Kara had decrypted, Sector 7, Vault Omega. Behind him, squadrons of Helix commandos landed and began their advance. But Elias didn't wait. This was personal. Below ground, Alina moved with Zephyl through the emergency corridors, now shaking from bombardment. Her hands glowed faintly, her mind sensing every pulse of danger. She was more than human now, evolved through the Empire's tampering, yes, but still rooted in something deeper: love. At the next corridor, 6 Empire guards appeared. Without hesitation, Alina raised her palm. The air shimmered, and the guards froze in place, lifted into the air like puppets. Their weapons clattered to the ground. "You don't have to kill them," Zephyl whispered. "I'm not," she replied, "but I won't let them stop me." She gently pushed outward with her mind, knocking them unconscious. She turned to the exit. "He's close." Elias moved through the interior like a storm, taking down anything in his path. He passed cells, labs, and twisted remnants of failed experiments. More human clones, animals grafted with machines, and entire rooms humming with dark energy. At last, he reached a sealed chamber. Alina was on the other side. His voice cracked. "Alina, Dad," came the soft voice inside his head. She was speaking telepathically now. The door slid open, and for a moment time stopped. She stood there, small, radiant, strong. Her eyes filled with tears. Elias fell to his knees, arms open. She ran to him, and he swept her into a tight embrace. "I've got you," he whispered, voice breaking. "I've got you, baby." She sobbed into his shoulder. "I waited. I kept waiting. I'm here now, and I'm not leaving." Zephyl watched silently, a flicker of something rare in his alien eyes, peace. But it didn't last. Alarms blared. A cold, inhuman voice filled the room. "Containment breach detected. Initiating override protocol. Erebus." Above the planet, the sky ripped open. A massive Empire warship exited hyperspace. The Obsidian Crown, High Chancellor Velrix's personal dreadnought. 5 times the size of Earth's largest carrier. It cast a shadow across the battlefield. Velrix appeared on comms, his serpentine form sneering. Ah, the prodigal child and her savage father. Touching. Elias stood, eyes hard. "You've lost." Velrix chuckled. "Have I? Alina is ours. You're just flesh and bullets. She is destiny." Then the Obsidian Crown powered up its World Breaker cannon, a weapon capable of obliterating the surface of Virex, 12 in a single strike. "If I can't have her," Velrix hissed, "no one will." The TNS Vengeance intercepted the transmission. Admiral Chen paled. "That blast will level the entire base. We'll lose them both." Kara calculated. "We can't intercept the blast in time, but we can blind the ship's sensors, briefly." Graves leaned in. "How long?" 6 seconds. "Then we do it," she said, "because that's all Rain needs." Underground, Elias knew what was coming. He looked at Zephyl. "Take her. Go to the evac point." Zephyl hesitated. "She won't leave without you." Elias knelt beside Alina. "Sweetheart, listen. I need to stop that ship. You need to trust me." She gripped his hand. "But you just got here." "I'll always be here," he said, pressing his forehead to hers. "In here." Tears filled her eyes, but she nodded. Then Elias turned and ran. Outside the facility, Elias launched upward in his exosuit, breaking through to the surface just as the world breaker cannon charged. The sky lit up with green energy. But Kara's plan worked. For 6 seconds, Velrix's targeting array went blind. And in those 6 seconds, Elias did the unthinkable. He activated the suit's Omega Core, a forbidden Terran weapon, a one-use micro-singularity that could destroy a superstructure at point-blank range. As he approached the cannon's firing shaft, his comms buzzed. It was Alina. "Daddy," he smiled. "I love you. Always." Then he triggered the core. A burst of light tore through the sky as the singularity ignited, folding the cannon inward before it could fire. The obsidian crown reeled, its main weapon disabled, its systems in chaos. Elias was gone. In the aftermath, Earth's fleet surged. Without their flagship, the Empire's fleet crumbled. Virex 12 was secured. The facility was overrun. Velrix retreated into deep space, defeated, humiliated, and wounded. The war was over. 1 week later, Earth held its first unified peace summit on Mars. Representatives from 30 alien races attended, pledging allegiance to the Terran Accord, forged in the fire of shared loss and resistance. And at the center of it all was Alina Rain, now under the protection of the UTC High Council. She stood with Kara, Graves, and Zephyl beside her, symbols of the war's sacrifice and unity. They built her a monument, not to her powers, not to her pain, but to her hope. On its base were etched the words, "From the void, we rose. Through wrath, we endured. In reunion, we healed." Far across the stars, in a secret UTC lab orbiting Proxima Centauri, scientists examined an anomaly recovered from Virex 12, a data shard encoded with Elias Rain's biometric signature. And inside, a fragment of consciousness, a voice, one that said, "I'm not done yet."